Hey guys, it's your boy CJ Drum here with another Marvel Spider-Man PlayStation 4 video. And today what we're going to discuss is, will this game live up to the hype? I mean, the biggest question that I have is, will this game be everything that we want it to be? Or will it succumb to the thing that's plagued almost every Spider-Man game to date, repetition? Although we've had some great Spider-Man titles, we've also had some fairly poor ones as well, many of which were poor due to either lackluster stories, storytelling, or just the overall repetitive nature. That's the beast of tackling something like Spider-Man. So Insomniac, however, looks like they're trying to avoid this, and they're really trying to look at past games and use their own creative flair to make this game interesting and keep players not only occupied but interested and invested. So for this part of the discussion, for part one, we're just going to focus on the story amongst this game. So we know this game's going to be very story heavy. You know, they have over 300 or 350,000 words that they wrote for this game. I think there was 800,000 in total. So we know this game's going to have a very strong narrative. With a lot of writers on this game and some of the writers who worked in different Spider-Man comic books, we should, expect a really decent story. Now, with that being said, we've seen a little bit of the story thus far in the first two E3 demos. I mean, the E3 demo from last year and the E3 demo from this year, we see some story elements. We kind of get a better idea of kind of what's going on in the game. Obviously, now we know that the Sinister Six is a massive part of this game. But with that being said, I mean, we have the main mission. Just like any other game, you have your main storyline. It's going to be very plot heavy. But the one thing that I'm concerned about, and the one thing that I really hope Insomniac nails, is mission complexity. Honestly, if you think of the first E3 demo, you basically infiltrated a fish face in which the Inner Demons were trying to take over. You fight the Inner Demons, it leads to a chase. You chase the helicopter. It wasn't bad. I honestly can't wait to play that mission. But when you think of the second E3 demo, what happened? Well, you had to infiltrate a place. It was a prison. People were breaking out, which is interesting. But it ended up being a chase after Electro. Now, don't get me wrong. The two chases are very different, and I am almost in love with that second chase. It looked amazing. Everything exploding. The way that Electro was just zipping from here and there. It was just very colorful. Everything popped. Everything seemed to work. They even said that you didn't have to follow that exact mission path to complete that mission. So there's going to be variations there. But I still want to see mission complexity. I don't want missions just to seem like the same thing over and over. With that being said, there are going to be main parts of the story, main missions that revolve around Peter Parker and Mary Jane. We haven't seen anything from Peter Parker yet, other than the fact that they told us we're going to be working at his job and doing his job. Mary Jane, we saw a sneak peek, a little snippet of that trailer that came out last year in which she's kind of crouched behind some things looking. So we know she's going to be doing stealth-like things. She's an investigative reporter, so she's going to be putting herself in some precarious situations. My hope is that Insomniac doesn't just give her, the basic walk, maybe run, maybe, stealth, crouch. I want them to fully flesh out her mechanics. I want her to be able to run, jump, duck, hide, roll, punch, kick. I want her to really be able to do a lot, and that way they'll really surprise us with what she does in the story. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on to side missions. Now, Insomniac specifically said that this game will have side missions in addition to the main missions and the distractions and challenges. Side missions, if you think about more recent games like God of War or Assassin's Creed Origins, those games all have their main narrative, but they also have side quests, especially games like Assassin's Creed where you're in Egypt. There's so much in Egypt to do, and even though it doesn't pertain to the main story, going through the pyramids has their own narrative aspects. I'm really looking for that in this game. We don't know how much of that there's going to be. We haven't even seen any kind of side missions technically, because honestly, Insomniac said the demos that they showed, the playable demo that they showed, focus on the distractions and some of the challenges. So we don't know where the side missions are going to be, but they did also say there's going to be side villains. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that. I kind of have an idea of what they're going to do. I think they're going to use some of the challenges, like the Taskmaster challenges. They're going to use that character to develop into an actual side villain. So we'll see. We'll come back to that a little bit later. But let's just jump into the distractions, since that's what the demo was mostly focused on, the distractions. There was a lot of them, and I really appreciate that, because I think that's what's going to give this game that sense of it. There's a lot to do, and it's not the same things. I'm going to quickly run through some of these. So we know, again, there's going to be distractions, there's a lot of activities, a lot of things are going to be changing over the course of the game. So as the game progresses, these activities, just the overall feel of the city is going to change, which again is going to make the game feel interesting. It's going to hopefully prevent it from feeling repetitive. But we know so far that you're going to be able to find daily bugles in the newspaper stands, which are going to tell you what's going on in the game. We know that there's backpacks spread all over the city, and each backpack has something that is from Peter's past that's going to be telling us narrative, telling a story about what's been going on since he's been Spider-Man for 8 years. We know not everybody in the city likes Peter Parker, so random people will attack you. And as you go through this city, obviously things will change. People's perspective and people's opinion of Spider-Man is going to change, so probably you'll have more people attacking you, or more people just being negative towards you as you go on. Again, giving the city a different feel throughout the game. There's shootouts with the police, so different games will be having shootouts, which you have to break those up. Just a kind of a simple activity, but you know, depending on how they're done, will still be interesting. Now we know there's also going to be crimes and robberies. They have a dynamic crime system in the game, which means it's going to change again as the story progresses. Once everybody breaks out of raft, obviously crime's probably going to escalate, shoot right through the roof. Maybe in the beginning it's just going to be simple robberies, like we saw a couple stores being robbed in the playable demo. One thing that's going to be interesting is that they said that these different crimes are going to change. So one of the ways they're going to change, they're also going to evolve, and they're going to be join with other activities and distractions. So one thing we actually even saw in the demo was Spider-Man breaking up a drug bust, which turned into a car chase. So going into car chases now, car chases are car chases. We've seen them in other games. One thing Insomniac is trying to do to make them different is have different aspects and elements to them. So in the car chase we saw, there was a truck and there was an SUV. Players could take out that truck first, and if they did, the SUV would actually follow them, pull up behind them, and the people would jump out and attack you. But you could take out the SUV first, leaving just the truck, and then that again plays them, makes the mission play out differently. I hope there's more variations than just those in the game, but doing that again makes car chases seem a little bit more than just normal car chases, which is a good thing. Moving on from there, we actually have bases. So we've seen Fist bases, we've seen the Inner Demon bases, but they actually said there's other factions in this game, meaning there's going to be other bases perhaps. So that's really great and really interesting. One thing I appreciate is the fact that in the demo they said they had to shorten the bases and they had to remove some of the enemy types as to not overwhelm players. I want to feel overwhelmed when I play these bases, because that to me makes games fun when they're difficult. Not too difficult, but difficult. Speaking of difficult, there's challenges in the game, and we saw the Taskmaster challenges. I'm not sure, and they haven't said if there's going to be other kinds of challenges or all the challenges are going to be Taskmaster related, but we saw 2 in the game. One was a bomb challenge where you had to basically disable bombs. The second one was a drone challenge, and I really like that one because that's like a speed challenge, like a speed race, in which you actually have to follow the drone throughout the city as fast as you can, but you have to follow its path because it leaves behind these blue orbs, and really what they are is they're like cameras that Spider-Man has to destroy. Now, what's interesting is that the creators of this game, the people who made it, comment on how difficult they are. And that's when they emphasize that traversal is easy to pick up. It's something that they wanted everybody to feel like they are Spider-Man, they wanted to feel like they're a pro at it, but it's really hard to master, and that's what you have to do with these kind of challenges. So I know I mentioned Taskmaster before, but he is a villain in the Spider-Man universe, in the Marvel universe, who is able to he's able to duplicate or replicate another superhero's power just by watching them. Now, they said, like I said before, there's going to be side villains in this game. I do believe he's definitely going to be a side villain. I think that you're going to basically be doing his challenges so he can observe you. Once he observes you and thinks he's strong enough to take you on, he's going to take you on, and hopefully that'll turn into an actual side quest, again with its own narrative. It's going to be really interesting to see how they do that. We have a little bit more. I know it's a lot. So now we have the Harry research stations, which again, we've seen these in the playable demo. The ones that we saw was a puzzle, which was pretty interesting. And again, they're not fighting related. They're going to force players to look at things a little bit differently. They're going to, be challenges. There will be puzzles. We saw another one where you had to basically go around and web up some of those like water towers that are on top of buildings. Again, just things to vary up the gameplay so you're not just beating people down the whole time. Same thing is going to happen with Black Cat, her stakeouts. Apparently she leaves statues around the city, which we haven't seen, but she'll leave them. You have to find them. They're alluding to there being more to these Black Cat missions that they haven't told us. And then obviously Black Cat's going to be a part of the first DLC, The City That Never Sleeps, and her thing's going to be called Heist. So with all that said, those are all the things that they have told us. Now I have one more quick thing to review, and that's just a couple things that I want them to avoid. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, to me, had a lot of potential, but one thing I hated was how short the missions were. So going back to what I said before, I really hope Insomniac has really creative and really complex missions so that the game doesn't feel like you're going through the same missions over and over. I really want them to mix that up. Additionally, I want Spider-Man to feel overwhelmed. I want there to be high stakes to this game, and I don't want this game to feel like you're just beating people up and you're so strong that it's easy. I really hope that they really challenge players and they make Spider-Man feel like something, like he can actually lose. Last thing is I want them to make sure they borrow from other games. I feel like a lot of games now focus so much on these sandbox opportunities that they forget that some really awesome gameplay opportunities come from situations where players don't have much choice. And I know that might sound counterintuitive, but if you look at games like Uncharted, they have some of the best cinematic action set pieces that aren't quick time events and they're not just cutscenes. So for instance, there was a scene where you're on top of a train, you're on top of a moving train going through a village or town, I can't remember exactly where, but you're fighting on top of it, and it was so dynamic, it was so interesting. Another one was you're in a building in which a helicopter is actively shooting at you, and at one point it destroys the foundation and structure of this building, and the building starts to collapse. As the building's collapsing, you're still playing through fighting NPCs, fighting enemies. The last one from Uncharted is actually they were driving through a town, and as you're driving through a town, you're being chased, and you have to fire at the enemies who are chasing you. Again, there's situations where these are not sandbox opportunities. There's not more than one way to really get through these situations, but because of that, they create really dynamic, really intense, really just heart-throbbing moments. And I really want Insomniac to do that, and that I think will mix up some of the sandbox gameplay with some really really extraordinary moments that will make players feel like this game is not repetitive. So that's all for list 1. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the missions, the side quests, the distractions, and the activities and challenges. What do you guys want to see? Do you guys feel this game will become repetitive, or do you think Insomniac already has enough? Not to mention the fact that there's still more that they have not told us yet. Anyway, get in those comments below, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. More videos coming up. Part 2 for this video is coming up soon. It's your boy CJ Drum. Peace out.